Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Standing before you is Ms. Mashiloane from the Logistics Department at Valle University of Technology, Vanderbilt Park campus. Today we're going to look at Business Management 1.1, the very first chapter, Business and its Challenges. Now, just to give you an overview, we're going to look at what is business management, what is a business, what are goods, and what are services. Now, the first one, business and management, we're taking a dynamic field of study that focuses on institutions that satisfy customers' needs. And then now when we are talking of a business, we're taking an organization that provides goods and services to its customers in the economic system in which they operate. Now, when we are taking goods, we're taking tangible items that can be felt and touched, such as your fridges, your clothing items, as well as your shoes. And then obviously with your services, we're taking intangible items which cannot be touched nor felt. And then example, they actually include services which are provided by your doctors or even your attorneys. And then what you also need to know is that both goods and services can actually be referred to as products. For example, some organizations provide both goods and services at the same time. For example, your Domino's pizzas, the pizza that they actually provide, it's a product. And then when they deliver that pizza now, that is a service that they are actually offering to you. And then now we're looking at business and profits. Now, obviously, we do know that the main purpose of starting a business, it is to make profit. And then now, when we are talking of profit, this is the amount of money that is left in the business after the business has paid all its cost. And then there are also organizations that do exist, but then that are not for-profit organizations, or rather that are not after profit. And then they just try to cover their costs. And then these organizations are called not-for-profit organizations. And then examples would be your sports clubs, your welfare organizations, your religious organizations, and then all these form part of your private sector. And then while your political parties, your labor unions are actually examples of your public sector not-for-profit organizations. And then now, we're going to look at the factors of production. Now, what you need to know is that there are actually 4 basic resources available that can be used by organizations to manufacture and deliver goods or services, and they are known as factors of production, and they actually consist of your natural resources, and then these are actually derived from nature, and they are regarded as value in their untouched form. Example, we have your land, which can be used for farming, and then we also have your forest or mineral deposits such as your gold, your copper, or even coal, etc., etc. And then we also have what we refer to as your human resources, that is your labor, and then these are your employees who actually perform specific activities for a particular organization. And then what you need to know is that with your human resources, they actually needed to produce agricultural products such as wheat, as well as your maize to manufacture industrial products such as your cars, or to even deliver your services such as open heart surgeries, and also taking care of patients in hospitals. And then in the other factor, we're looking at your capital, which is the money or assets, can be in the form of equipment or even buildings, which are used to deliver something of value to your customers. And then in capital is actually provided by the owners, banks, or even shareholders of a business. And then in most cases, capital is actually used to build factories and also buy machinery needed to manufacture products. And then the last factor, we're taking entrepreneurship, which is the process in which your natural resources, your human resources, as well as your capital actually put together to manufacture a good or service in order to make profit. Remember, we said the main purpose of starting or even operating a business, it is to make profit. And then now, an entrepreneur, this is a person who takes the risk of starting or even operating a business. Now, we're going to look at the business world economic systems. Now, what you need to know is that the business world actually divided into 4 basic economic systems. We have what we refer to as your free market economy, which is known as capitalism. And then here in the system, the citizens own much resources, and they're actually free to choose their economic activities. And then there's normally very little government interference. And then we also have what we refer to as command economy, which is also known as communism. And then in the system, the government owns almost all the resources, and government officials can then decide what goods and services should be delivered, who should be employed, what each person should actually earn, etc., etc. And then we also have what we refer to as socialism economy. And then this system actually allows individuals to own private properties and also choose their form of economic activities. But then now the government owns a majority of the country's resources and also plays a far greater role in capitalism. And then the last one, we have what we refer to as mixed economy. Now, here there are no clear boundaries regarding the economic system that is being followed. It is actually a mix of your private enterprises, your government ownership of resources, as well as the planning of the economy. You can actually find trades of both your command as well as your free market in this type of system. And then now we look at our different stakeholders. And then now when we are talking of stakeholders, these are the people or even institutions that have a share or rather even interest, your contribution or role in the performance of an organization. Now we have what we refer to as your primary stakeholders, and we also have secondary stakeholders. Now when we're talking your primary stakeholders, these are your customers, these are the employees of an organization, the suppliers, as well as shareholders of the organization. And then now when we're talking your secondary stakeholders, they actually include your government and the community at large. And then now, what you need also to know is that stakeholders can actually be grouped into 3 categories or groups. Now, the first one, we have business-related stakeholders, we have opinion-related stakeholders, and we also have what we refer to as public-related stakeholders. Now, with your business-related stakeholders, we're taking the owners, your investors, bankers, as well as the staff of the organization, customers, and suppliers of the organization. And then your opinion-related stakeholders, of course, we're taking the media, we're taking potential employees, and also competitors. And then finally, with your public-related stakeholders, this actually include your politicians, we're taking local and national authorities, as well as your different NGOs. And then after this, we're going to look at different expectations of each and every stakeholders. Now, it is said that these stakeholders have varying expectations towards the business. Now, we're going to look at the business-related stakeholders' expectations. Now, the first ones, we're starting with the owners, your shareholders, as well as your investors. What is it that they are expecting from the organization? They expect the business to produce profit so that they can actually get their returns. And then now we're looking at the banks. Of course, they also want their money. They expect the business to pay its interest on loans over time and to continue doing business with them. And then we're looking at your insurance companies, and then they actually expect the business to be responsible in managing business risks, and they also calculate the insurance premiums accordingly as to how much the company or even the organization has to pay. And then we also look at the consumers, which are the customers. They actually expect the business to follow acceptable commercial, marketing, and advertising principles, and to also ensure that the goods and services supplied are of good quality, and they also expect the right product to be delivered at the right time and at the right place. And then now we're still looking at your business-related stakeholders' expectations. Now we look at your auditors. They actually expect and ensure that the business obey legislations regarding accounting and other financial standards, meaning you cannot cook any books or whatsoever. If you were to produce of financial information, they actually have to reflect exactly what is happening within your business and everything. And then we're looking at the staff or employees. They actually expect the business to comply with labor legislations regarding issues such as gender and race equity and non-discrimination. And they also expect the business to provide environment that is actually conducive to work in. And then finally, we're looking at your suppliers. They expect to have consistent relationship with the business and to also be paid on time. And then remember, we have your different types of suppliers, and then you also need to build long-lasting relationships with your suppliers in terms of how long, or rather how long is your contract and everything. And then we're looking now at your opinion-related stakeholders' expectations. Now we're looking at your competitors. These are people who are opinionated, not necessarily within the are internally associated with the business. Now we're looking at your competitors. They expect to be able to compete on equal business terms with no threats, bribery, or any cartels. And then we're looking at your potential employees. They expect to be able to see the business's human resources policy and also the employment conditions to say, okay, if I want to go to work for this particular organization, what are their policies regarding employment and everything? And then we're looking at the media, and then they expect the business will give open, transparent information on products and developments inside the business. So whatever information that is happening within the organization, obviously the media expects transparent information and everything. And then we're looking now at our public-related stakeholders' expectation. Now we're looking at your national authorities. They actually expect the business to obey the laws of the country and pay its taxes on time, and they also expect the businesses to contribute to sustainable development of the country. And then now when we're looking at your local authorities, they expect businesses to contribute to the social progress of the society. And then your neighbors and the business's close community, they expect the business to comply with all the regulations about your noise pollution and not to make trouble in its business undertaking. Obviously, with the community, or rather the close community, they have those expectations. And as far as noise pollution is concerned, everything, like in as far as pollution is concerned, you need to be able to make sure that there are some sort of regulations which are regulating those. And then we have your NGOs, which expect openness and progressive thinking from the business leaders. They mostly focus on single issues such as your human rights, protecting the environment, as well as employee safety. And then we have our trade unions, which expect businesses to comply with labor laws and also create good condition, or rather working conditions, for employees and members of the union. And then finally we have our politicians, which expect a business to fit their understanding of how organizations should be run and also be responsible citizens. And then now we also have what we refer to as CSR, your corporate social responsibility. Now, this is a concept that organizations, especially your corporations, have an obligation to consider the interest of customers, employees, shareholders, as well as communities and ecological environments in all aspects of their operations, meaning they must actually give back to the community as they are benefiting from them. And then now, what you need to know is that in South Africa, the current social contract of a business is, or rather can be divided into three aspects. We have what we refer to as a formal contract, we have what we refer to as semi-formal contract, and then finally we have the frontier of future expectations. Now, with your formal contract, this actually refers to society's unspoken expectations from businesses, such as your respecting global laws, and environmental standards, and following industry codes and norms. So basically, these are your formal expectations, or rather unspoken expectations that come automatically from the society to say we are expecting businesses to actually respect global laws as well as environmental standards. And then we also have what we refer to as semi-formal contracts, which refers to new spoken expectations that some people have about responsibilities of a business, which might actually affect formal contracts in the future. For example, some people actually raised issues or even criticized the products sold by your global fast food businesses such as your KFC or McDonald's, saying that they lead to poor health. So basically, these are your semi-formal contracts. These are now the new spoken expectations. And then now we have what we refer to as frontier or future expectations. And then this actually refers to issues that will have an impact on the business in the future. such as your health effects of obesity. So basically, that is our very first chapter.